Hi Terry, good morning. How are you? It's good to
Good
see
morning,
you.
Hugo. It's nice to be here. I'm great. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for joining me and Destino this morning. I really wanted to cover the work that you've done specifically on Happy's Place and being Reba McEntire stylist. Would you be able to start with your name and what you do?
Sure. My name is Terry Ann Gordon. I'm a costume designer and I style also for Reba McEntire. And I've been working with Reba for, golly, off and on 24 years. So we have a really nice relationship and yeah, it's been a treat.
Yeah, you're also president of the Costume Designer Guild, and so congratulations to that. And I'm glad that you get to represent the guild in that way as well.
Well, thank you. We just had our terms are 3 years. So we just had our new election and I was um voted in again.
Beautiful.
So I guess I don't get parole for another 3 years.
Well, I did want to cover what it's like for you specifically on a sitcom like Happy's Place. Are you able to take us through day one and all the way down to day five on the shoot day?
Sure can. Yeah, sitcoms are very much like doing a play. And I came up through theater. I have an MFA degree from Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh for costume design. And of course, we were all theatrically trained and shot into the atmosphere with the expectations we would go to New York. I did not do that. New York's not my milieu, but came out here instead and just got right into sitcom world, where I started with The Nanny. So I have a strong foundation in four camera. Now the difference between four camera and single camera is huge in the way that it shoots and operates. Basically, you're still designing costumes and creating characters. Costume designers are considered storytellers. We create character through costumes and through fabrics, textiles, how we um, how we manipulate those things to help guide the audience through the story. And we have styling, however, is actually promoting an individual, a celebrity, and their image on the red carpet, in press. And it does occasionally touch on storyline, but for the most part, it's about promotion and presentation. So it's a very different world. I've done both with Reba, but on Happy's Place, we have developed her character for that show, and she's a tavern owner in Knoxville, Tennessee. So she's a real person, she's not wearing the sparkle and the fringe that you see her in on The Voice. That's definitely more styling at The Voice. Costume design for Happy's Place is really supporting her character as Bobby, a working person in Knoxville, Tennessee. And we start our day, well, I'll pretend that we started on Monday. We're actually a little off balance, but I'll go through Monday through Friday. So Monday we would come in and we would do a production meeting. We do them on Zoom these days, which is kind of nice. We can all still be at home in our jammies. And what we do is we've been given the script and we go over the script as a total team. All of the department heads are involved in these production meetings. So we'll have maybe 30 people on the Zoom. Now, on our show, Liz Bass and I share the costume department. I'm just taking care of Reba, and Liz has the entire rest of the cast to put together. So we work hand in hand. We have a lot of conversations. We balance the colors. It's not just going shopping and putting people in clothes and saying go act. There's a lot of consideration. So we have this production meeting and we go through the whole script. And Michael Shea is our AD, and he leads us through and points out areas that we might have missed, or if we have questions like, well, okay, the script says they're in their pajamas, but are they really in their pajamas because they just came home from work? Maybe they've taken off their boots and put a sweater on. So those kinds of conversations happen in the production meeting. We used to joke, we were on a Liz and I were both on a show together, and it became kind of a joke. We would say, "Does she need a purse? Does she have keys?" So yeah, they're great production meetings, and Michael's a master at guiding us through them. Then we will, once that production meeting ends, we have a little departmental meeting because we have a team of, let's see, we have Kara and, well, Eliana comes in for shoot day, but we have Kara and Kate. Kate's the key on the show, the key costumer.
Yeah.
But Kara's our costumer who really is on top of everything that everybody's wearing, and she also keeps the continuity for the show. And then we have Jim Hansen, who's our supervisor, and he steers the bus. He's making sure that all the pieces and everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing. We liaison with him, and he's also super important to our accounting department, because he has to answer for all the purchases that we make and the rentals and also the things that we make. We have a seamstress on board, and she handles all our alterations because they have to happen really quickly. We only have a couple of days to take care of everything. And we have a cast of five, I think five. We have Reba and Melissa, Belisa. We have Pablo and Takala and Rex. So we have six. We have a cast of six, and everybody has to get fitted. They might have one outfit for the entire show, or they may have three or four, or depending on what the script is, five or six. So multiply that times the number of cast, and you are dressing them from the inside out. You know how difficult it is to dress yourself. Try doing it for six people who have other ideas. So, yeah, we have a mini meeting after the production meeting where we sit down. Liz and Jim lead that meeting just to make sure everybody's doing what they need to do. And then it's kind of like, okay, go. And everybody takes off. They either go shopping, they start setting up fittings with the AD, they start coordinating what we need to do for the week. Now, our show it doesn't have blood, it doesn't have gore, and it doesn't have monsters coming out of the wall. So it's pretty straightforward like that. And it's very much a routine, and it's like doing theater. You have your meetings, and at the end of the week you have your show, and we have an audience. So it's kind of home for me because I came up through theater. But everybody goes shopping, and then the next day the fittings start to happen. Now, the fittings can happen the same day that we've had this production meeting because we try to build a closet. And as we're out, we're buying or finding things or renting. We're always on the search for interesting, kind of unique stuff that really showcases who that character is. So we have a closet, and if we're lucky, we have enough in that closet that we don't have to shop or start from scratch. But we do pieces like Reba's. She lives in her jeans. So I have a huge line of jeans, and I start there. We also have all kinds of tanks and tees and under pieces that, can be reused frequently. So she's kind of from the waist up. And boots. We have a lot of boots. So yeah, we start there, then we have a fitting. And like I said, the fittings are are really important to the actor. And if they're not happy, if they're not comfortable or feel confident in that outfit, it's not good. Because the costume, the wardrobe is supposed to help the actor come to that character. I've had shows where we really um, well, a couple plays come to mind where we just, the actor wasn't sure about what they were doing or who they were, and we were trying to come to an idea of what that person might wear. And I pulled out sort of a Versace looking piece and I explained why I was offering that. And he wasn't sure about it, but he put it on, he put the whole outfit, and he turned around and he looked in the mirror and he went, I know who I am now. And that just, even now, just now, it gave me goosebumps because that's like getting an Emmy. It's like when your actor is so comfortable and confident, then you've done your job.
Yeah,
And
exactly. I think that that's one of the key things that you said, that you're there to help this actor transform into this character that's been assigned to them. And same thing assigned to you because you're creating the character along with them. So it's very important, for example, your connection with Reba, to be able to know the things that she likes and that she might demand, and to have that mutual eye that
Mhm.
you guys can agree on.
Yeah, but you also want to bring something new to the table.
Sure.
Um, and we've had some very funny fittings where I've brought her something and she puts it on and she just kind of stands there and looks at me. She says, "What were you thinking?" And I'll say, "I was thinking that'd be really good." And then we both laugh and we take that off and take it away. But yeah, it's an interesting art, and sadly, so many people don't understand what it is we do. They think we just shop, and but think about even if it's just a t-shirt and jeans show. You know how hard it is to find a jean that fits you well, that you're happy with. We have to alter and tech it, and we have to maybe change the collar on the t-shirt. The sleeve is not the right length. The fabric doesn't feel right. It doesn't, we call it the hand, the fabric, how it feels. And if it isn't falling right, or if it is, some beefy tees, for example, are beefy tees. You would put those on truckers. You wouldn't put it on a guy who's going into the disco for the night, who's, you know, Mr. Wild and Crazy. So, yeah, and then on top of that, if you're doing maybe not a sitcom like we do, and you have to have an outfit that goes through the entire show, and it has to morph in terms of change day to day. Maybe he gets stabbed or hurt or whatever. You have to have multiples. These days, multiples are difficult to find because of just the way the society's working now. Everything's online. You can't just go into a store and buy six of the same thing. They have to order it. They have to have it shipped in from Taiwan. It's a whole different world now. But anyway, I have digressed from sitcoms.
Well, no, I mean, how about what is it like for you guys during a run through and you're able to showcase your ideas with the producers and the writers at this point?
Well, that happens far before we get to run through. Um, we have now shopped, we've put everything together, we've had fittings, we take copious photos of our fittings. Liz and Jim have this brilliant pro, way of doing that, and they actually do like cut out paper dolls. We'll cut the pictures up. And I mean, we don't cut them out, but we have the squares, they have a little Velcro on the back, and then she creates a board. So we have everybody that's in that scene. And then we have we call it a rack check. on like Thursday morning. It not like we have it on Thursday morning, and we'll have several of the producers, our producers on our team, not studio, not network. It's just us. um, they will come in and we'll go through the whole rack. And Liz and Jim have set up the board so that it starts with Reba, then it's Melissa or Belisa, and then Melissa, and down the line where they can see all the colors because our show is very color conscious. And the producers don't want anybody in the same color. Sometimes not even the same uh, color wheel, but it could be a different tone. But because of lighting and because of what happens in editing and everything else, they are very attuned to how those colors are going to balance. So, anyway, we have all the show on the rack. We have the pictures all lined up on the board, and we have maybe 45 minutes of discussion about, well, why this, why that? On top of having the show set up as we think it should be, the producers then we also have the backup pictures. So when they go, well, I think maybe, and if you change one person, it affects everybody. So then we go to that board and we say, well, what if we did this on him, or what if we changed this on her? So you always have options. You can't just categorically say that's it, because it's never just it. You have to be ready to make some changes. So anyway, that's usually a very successful day, and sometimes we'll have to refit something, or they'll want to alter it, and so we'll have the actor. We don't like to disturb the actors as much as possible, but we do have to have fittings. We have to make sure things are fitting properly so that when they get on screen, sleeves aren't, over here and collars are up their nose and all of that. So it's like last night, for example, we shot a show last night, and a leather jacket that I had Reba in, it just wasn't lying properly. One side was fine, and I'm looking on camera, and we had done a fitting, and the fitting picture was perfect, and so that's what I was going with. Suddenly, this other side of the jacket was like the collar was kind of wonky, and the lapel was falling badly, and it just those things make your hair catch fire. So we happily didn't shoot much of that jacket that day. So the next day, I took the jacket, I put swing tacks in the collar, I sewed the lining down to the inside of the jacket. I brought magnets in case I had to connect stuff inside the garment where you weren't going to see it, would hold it in place. And thank you, it worked beautifully. So we shot the episode without this side looking weird and that one being in place. But those are the things you're always looking for when
Mhm.
you're doing a fitting. And you see us running in on camera to fix things, and it's because it has to be in place all the time for editing. Because once the show is shot, then it goes to the editors, and sometimes they'll have to tweak the color to balance, or to even make it work for skin tone, or they'll want to cover up some areas that they think are a little too revealing. Um, and so you're all working as a team. And in terms of sets, we have to be very aware of what color the sets are. Um, I, I have a great story for that, but I'll save that unless you want to hear it. But
Yeah, I think it goes along with, I mean, for example, I remember with the art department, they decided to throw a different blanket in the bedroom. And I remember the costumes just happened to be passing by when they heard that conversation. And they were just like, well, what color is this? Yeah, exactly. What color is this blanket? And is it going to mess with what Reba's wearing or whatever Melissa's wearing? So
yeah,
yeah, it's definitely all part of it, and being able to collaborate with the other departments is really huge too.
Oh, it's essential. I mean, we are a team. That's no lie. So anyway, so Thursday, then, like I said, we finish up doing all of the fittings, and we might have to send pictures to the network and studio because they also weigh in on stuff. And Franco is our liaison with network and studio. So when he's talking about, well, maybe we should change this or maybe blah, 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 he knows what they're thinking. And if they're not happy, nobody's happy. So yeah, we pay a lot of attention to Bronco. And then
Yeah, I
and then
uh I
yeah.
could add to this process only that like for collaborating with my department, it's something that, for example, with graphics, it's something that we got to handle right away because it takes like such a long process to get that image on a t-shirt, do multiples like you said. And for me, my job is always to try to catch that, especially putting costumes as a priority.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's and you brought up a great point there that is a whole nother department, and that's the legal department. Because if we buy a t-shirt, not one that you have manufactured or created for us, we have to get that t-shirt approved by legal so that the show doesn't get sued by the artist or the company, um, and wanting, extraordinary amounts of money because we put their t-shirt on our actor, and maybe they didn't like the script, or they didn't, well, they just didn't like being out of the process. So yeah, there's a lot to it that people don't understand. I was working on a kids show, and I had bought a pair of socks. They were going to be under jeans in a tennis shoe. The kid wasn't going to be standing on his head, and legal came back and said you can't use those socks. That those images, well, we're just not happy with those images. They were kid socks too. It's like, okay, so gave him a different pair of socks. But so then Friday, and we're always going to run through at the end of rehearsal. The cast shows our writers and producers the whole show in entirety, and it takes maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And so then we're all there watching and going, okay, she's entering from outside, or she's entering from the office. Where is her coat? Did she bring a purse? We're making notes about what's happening in the scene. Or, oh, he comes in with a frog in his pocket. Those jeans don't have pockets. We have to get different pants, or in a pocket big enough for a frog. So yeah, it's an interesting process. And then Friday we have our final run through. Network is there, they're watching. And then hopefully we've got the show all ready because Monday, well, yeah, we work actually Wednesday through Friday. We pre-shoot Monday, and then we shoot on Tuesdays. So I haven't given you a correct linear timeline
Well,
here.
what are some of the challenges that you guys have faced on a show night on a shoot day?
Um, just I haven't really had that with Reba per se, but some of the other characters, or even our guest actors, we've had some amazing guest cast on the show. And they may come in and suddenly the outfit, they're not happy with it, or something isn't comfortable. And so they're last minute changes, and you always have to have those options that I talked about earlier available. The problem with it being that happening on a shoot day is that we've already balanced the color scheme. And now, whatever we have, it has to work within that color scheme if we're changing something. And we have to run it by the producers to make sure they're okay with that change. So it's always a balancing act, to stay strong with the character, make sure that you're supporting who that character is, but also to make sure the colors and the fit and the whatever has to happen within the scene is possible, and the actors are comfortable with doing what they have to do.
What is the difference between being a costume designer and a specific stylist for a character?
Thank you for asking that. As president of the Costume Designers Guild, Local 892 IATSE, and actually within 892, we have classifications. We take care of costume designers, assistant costume designers, illustrators, and also stylists. Um, like I said before, costume designers are character driven. We are storytellers. We're not just shoppers, and it all has to happen for the character, for the script. And stylists are working with celebrity. They are working with an image. They're image makers. So we have character and then we have image. So that's why so many actors, like when they're going to the Emmys or the Oscars, they turn to stylists because they're being themselves and they're promoting their image. Sometimes using your costume designer, and that's not totally true. I mean, not, we're not just Hansel and Gretel over here with character, but they just want something different. They want to exude a different quality, and yeah, so styling is totally uh, exciting and rewarding, and it's a little less. What do I want to say? A little less intense. Well, no, it's intense too, but in a whole different way. And you're creating an image so that that actress or actor can walk on runway and be ready in front of camera, because it is a tough job. People think, oh, you just stand there and you smile and get your picture taken, but they're exuding a, a personality, and they always want to look their best, and you have to help them get there to do that. And there are a lot of we call it underpinnings, which is stuff under the dress that's making that body hold together. And it's a lot of pressure for them, and they have to be able to walk and not fall and trip on the dress. If there's a train, they have to be organized. You have to have somebody there that's fixing all of that, just so that they're looking 100% or 150%.
What are some of the events that you've been able to collaborate with Reba?
I've kind of done everything over the 24 years. I used to tour with her. So I coordinated all of her tour outfits. I also, we did a lot of, well, we did a lot of press. We did music videos. We've done, The Voice. I've done a few outfits for The Voice. Very few though. First season, I helped a little more than, but this is good. She has a stylist for The Voice, and that's important. So yeah, I've kind of done everything with her. I've made her gowns. I've bought her gowns. I've gone to other designers to see what they have in their lines. Worked with product placement people to secure some outfits, and yeah, so I've kind of done everything with her. We've had some good times.
Yeah, sounds like it. And then you've also worked on the show Queen's Gambit. So would you be able to compare a sitcom to working on a single camera show like that?
Yeah, there's no comparison. uh, I'm episodic is really difficult. Like with sitcom, we have this, we have a very set schedule, and with episodic, it's like doing a movie in a week. I mean, you can have tons of extras and background. You have to have a lot of crew, especially if it's a period piece like Queen's Gambit. And when I was working on Queen's Gambit, it wasn't even shooting here in town. My partner and I were pulling garments from the I'd say the 50s through the 80s. So we were trying to coordinate costumes and get them together. The designer, who was from Germany, came into town. We took her with us and showed her everything that we had pulled and if we were on the right track. She didn't have access to a lot of stuff like crinolines for under poodle skirts and, the very specific bras of the era. And so we tracked all that down because this is Hollywood and we have all that stuff in our costume houses. But we also purchased a lot, and we had vintage companies here that we've worked with in the past who could get all that stuff for us, and then we would ship it. So my partner ended up going to Canada because they were shooting there. So we shipped box after box after box of stuff to Canada. She went up there and coordinated with the Canadian team. And then some of the costumes then went on to Germany where they shot more scenes. Nothing shot in Hollywood, even though we were kind of represented in the script. But that's the way film is these days. So yeah, we never saw an actor. We were just gathering stuff. We had sizes and we collected it all and shipped it off. But then when I worked on Perry Mason during COVID, uh, that was fun because I was just doing background, and it was so much fun. It's one of my favorite periods. They were doing 30, well, no, 40s. They were doing 40s. And it was just fun to build character. You'd have this person for 20 minutes and they're supposed to be in an elegant gown and entering this beautiful restaurant, and you're just decking them out. And then you would get, the maid who's coming in from shantytown, and so she's all ragged and falling apart. And anyway, it's a whole different work schedule, and the hours are monumental on those. And there's something called crossboarding, which is the ultimate nightmare and bane of all existence. Because do you know about crossboarding? Do you want me to go there? um, they they may have an actor for a very few days to shoot what they need. Well, that actor has to be in the entire show. It might be a 12 episode show. So they're shooting 12 episodes in the first 2 days of shooting because he has to be in every single one. So the costumes, they have to be ready for the entire show on the first day. I'm not making that up. I have a designer who shared this with me the other day, and I almost fell over dead. I can't imagine trying having I think she had maybe a 3 or 4 week prep. But to outfit the entire show to be ready to go, yeah, 12 episodes, too much. So episodic is a whole different beast. A film is a whole nother world. I mean, you could be on a film for years. Episodic is, you have a week to do this massive uh, work. And us, we've got our very set pattern. We have our six actors, we have our scripts. It's very regimented. You can actually have a life with sitcoms. Sadly, sitcoms are far and few between these days. But it's a wonderful place to be, and it is a happy place. I started with The Nanny, and then I went on to the Reba show. We did Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, and a bunch of other sitcoms. So that's my home. That's where I'm happy.
And Terry, what made you want to work in the entertainment business?
Well, I've always, even as a kid, I was always making clothes. Started with doll clothes, and for Christmas I would ask for fabric. So I was always sewing. I didn't play with dolls. I just wanted to dress them. And I was always in the art club at high school. I was always in the theater programs, the art programs. I was on the student council as the art committee. It's just always been there. I don't think I ever knew exactly what path it would take, but then I went to undergraduate school. I was I was actually an employee, a student employee in the theater department, and I worked through all the departments and finally kind of said, well, I think costuming is the way to go. Went to Carnegie Mellon, got my MFA there, and then started teaching. And my husband came home one day and said, I think I have a job in Los Angeles. And I was like, oh, not Los Angeles. But I knew that I would find work here. And plus, I stay very connected to my Carnegie friends and alum. And we all still network. We call each other all the time. We stay in each other's lives. Um, and that's just, it's important. Networking is important. Not only, I mean, because of the business, just because you've gone through a lot with these people and you care about them. And yeah, we're family. So it's good to build family wherever you go and stay in touch. And you get jobs that way, and also you can help them. So you need to be really open to everything all the time. You can't just get in your little box and say, well, that's that. No, you need to be helping others, and you need to ask for help when you need it. People will find out, you know the work ethic that you have, how
Mhm.
you do your job, what you bring to the job,
Yeah.
and that's part of the job. So, yeah,
Well, for people that are interested in costuming, what would you say is the best way to network and to meet the right people?
that's tough. There is no right way. There is no one path. All of us have come to this from so many different places. I didn't feel, coming from a small town in Pennsylvania, that I really knew enough, and I wanted to get that education. Um, but a lot of people, some people were, in psychology, which is really important in this business. I recommend taking classes in business and psychology, and of course the arts. Know what you're talking about. But psychology is walking into the room and reading the room to know how you need to be, how you need to, I don't want to say perform, but how you need to act, you know, and who's who, and you don't want to offend people, and you want to be respectful, but at the same time, you want to be somebody that other people want to work with, because when the phone rings and they're looking for a crew, they, I mean, the best person to hire is, of course, the best person for the job. But if they can't communicate and if they aren't pleasant to be around, um, they're not going to last. And I've seen people come and go from crews who are extraordinarily gifted, but they just don't work with the crew. So yeah, and just go everywhere and do everything. If someone's excuse me, if someone's putting on a play or something comes to town, go see it. Go see what's happening in the business and who's doing what. Take notes. Think about, oh, who's my favorite designer? Or what's my favorite show? And gee, could I get on that? And try to work toward that. I lead an internship program with the Television Academy, and my summer intern just left. He was perhaps the best intern I've ever had. He not only could read a room, he engaged in such a way that impressed everyone. He was just delightful and incredibly talented. Um, I've I had He made such contact and inroads with such influential people while he was here for the 8 weeks. It was impressive. I was taking notes from him. But that's a gift, and it's and he was wonderful because he's also humble and appreciative and gracious. He's elegant, and people really responded to that he knew his stuff. He knew the right questions to ask. And I heard that from a lot of the designers that I hooked him up with over the summer. So, wow, he asked such great questions and he really knows his stuff. And so, he'll be the next Paul Tazewell or Iris Van Helpern. Yeah, those are his heroes.
What are some of the tools, or how can people that are interested use the costume guild to their benefit?
Well, the guild, and matter of fact, all of our IATSE locals are so important to your health and welfare. And we won't get you work. We can't do that. But when you come into the guild, you are now part of a membership of like-minded folks. You've established yourself as a designer or an illustrator or an assistant, whatever. You've pretty much established yourself already. What we do is really elevate the position. We protect them legally if there are any kind of problems, and they call the office, and our executive director and assistant executive director will go to the studio and try to work out the problem. And but also the unions are important for your health and welfare, and you have a pension. And when you're ready to retire, you not only have a pension, you also have a lump sum of money that the producers have paid into over the years. And it just helps you with your security and the health. Our health and welfare package is amazing. We have incredible health medical benefits. And, as young people, they don't really see that as, oh, I don't need that. Well, someday you're going to need that. And the dental, and also your family can be on that plan for a nominal price. And that's the way it is now. I can't say it's going to be like that forever because business is kind of slow and has morphed hugely. AI has come into everyone's world. We never thought that would happen to us, but no, it happens. It's happening to every single department. So, these are different times, and you may need to find other ways to facilitate your art and your craft. But it's kind of like being in the circus. You're always pulling up stakes, taking down the tent, and moving to the next town.
I've heard that before. I've heard we're carnies. We just come and put on the show, and then we pick up the tent and set up in the new town. Yeah.
That's Try to keep your monkeys.
Well, we did bring up a lot about mentorship. Is there anybody that you admire or that had a big influence on you early on?
Wow. Um, I'm pausing here because there were so many. One of my favorite was April Ferry. As a costume designer, sadly, she passed away a few years ago, but she always did film, and I was on the board for the guild, and she kind of took me under her wing, and we had some fun times, and she was so good at her job and just lovely, and her interactions with people were always spot on. And yeah, so I think she influenced me a lot. Mary Rose, who was the president of the Costume Designers Guild and on the uh, governorship at the Television Academy, was fierce. And she just kind of would keep calling me to do things, and I'd say, "Okay, Mary, I'm there. I'll come in." And yeah, I feel like I'm following in her footsteps because my path has very much been what her path was. So yeah, there are just so many people who, yeah, I don't think I can really pin one person down because you take the best of everybody, and some of them have been just delightfully wonderful. I've had a very lucky career, and all of my actresses, I mean, from Fran Drescher, Reba McEntire, and Rita Moreno, they are all strong women with wonderful personalities, great senses of humor, stylish and creative, but good people. They're just really good people. And I've been very lucky. I've been on like four of Fran's shows. I've done a lot with Reba, and then with Rita. She was actually played Fran's mother in Happily Divorced, and I just fell in love with her there. And we did One Day at a Time. I took care of her needs on One Day at a Time. With that was a Norman Lear show, the reboot of One Day at a Time. And I still call and text her, and we stay in touch. They're just wonderful women. Yeah, I would say they're my mentors.
That's so great to hear, and I love to know that these people that we see on TV are just as great outside and in a personal life.
Yeah, they sure are.
Um, for those young people that are interested in costuming, or even somebody that's willing to pivot, what kind of advice would you give them?
Try everything. Um, Seriously, in this work environment these days, you cannot be you just can't be a one party person. You have to increase your knowledge about what's going on in the culture and the art scene, because you would be surprised where jobs come from. I mean, you could be at an art exhibit and you're wearing some crazy, wonderful outfit, and somebody else is there and they go, "Oh, I like your style." And you start a conversation, and suddenly they're doing a music video. And hey, would you come and dress us? And it's like, yeah, well, and it came from an art exhibit. It's just kind of it's here, there, and everywhere, and try everything. In the beginning, you're not going to be making loads of money or having, a ton of opportunities. So that's the time to really experience what you can. But always look for the best person you can work with. It's that is so important because you can get stuck in a rut and be with the same team. I don't want to say the same team, but um, be in that same genre for too long. But at the same time, you don't want to look like you're always jumping ship and going to the next gig. But you have to expand your horizons. You have to network. You have to be, well, like I said, like we said, we're carny people, and you have to be ready for the next show. Yeah. Yeah. But and it depends on who you are. If academia, is in the cards. That's certainly a viable route. I taught at USC. I still mentor students. I have students that I've gotten into the unions, and that makes me very happy. And they're being very successful now. And yeah, just keep those options open and don't be afraid to say yes. My first job, I lied. I was I was just trying to get started here in Los Angeles, and my well, yeah, I should say my mentors, Barbara and Cletus Anderson at Carnegie Mellon, were huge in my life, and I am where I am because of them. So yeah, yeah, of course. I'm sorry I forgot you. But I called them and I said, "Oh, I've got to get a job. I don't know where to go." And Cletus told me about somebody that he'd gone to school with out here. So I called her. She had a sewing or a costume company. And she said, "Why do you keep calling me?" I said, "Well, Cletus said." She said, "Oh, all right. Do you know how to make parasols?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And she said, "Well, come in at 1 o'clock." So I was getting ready to go, and I thought, I don't know how to make parasols. Why did I say that? So I went and grabbed an umbrella and I looked at the shapes and how it all came together. I went, oh, this is nothing. So, and I was there for 5 years. So, and then that job segued into Sin Marty Croft because their company was in the same build. It was their building that this company was in. And then I was with them for 5 or 6 years. It was just like one thing after another, and just kind of don't say no to stuff and check it out. I was building walk around costumes for the Astrodome, and it was like, what? And then I was building puppets and puppet clothes, and they were on the Barbara Mandrell show. And then I was on Solid Gold. It was like, it's just been an interesting journey. So stay open.
Well, congratulations to all that. I'm really happy to hear all the work that you've done, and I want to celebrate you and everything that you do. So, thank you for this conversation.
My pleasure, Hugo. Thank you for asking me. It was delightful. And good luck to
Absolutely.
all the students.
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.